If you're not measuring every bore, you're building blind. Listen up, guys. Brand new pistons from the manufacturer are not necessarily blueprint ready. And far too often, I see repair shops or engine builders simply just put together a bottom end and send it on its way. You cannot do that, all right? And it doesn't matter if it's a JDM, a Euro, or an American car. The principle and the parts are pretty much the same. Over here, we have a piston, brand spanking new. And over here, we have a wrist pin, also known as a gudgeon pin. Now, the area around of our pin bore is known as our pin boss. This wrist pin is going to come in here like so, all right? And ultimately, this wrist pin is what's going to help fasten our connecting rod to our piston. Now, we're going to use my favorite tool, dowel bore gauge, you guessed it, but a special dowel bore gauge that's small enough to come in here into this bore, and we're going to measure it. And I'm going to show you guys why ultimately sometimes you may have to open up this bore for your pin. All right, so we got our dowel bore gauge here, and super important, guys, you want to make sure you also obviously measure your pin diameter using your special measuring devices. We're going to come in here real quick. I don't have the piston set up in a vise because I wanted to do this quick just to make a really cool video for you guys to take a look here. So I had this gauge 0, but unfortunately it went out of whack. So what we're looking at is where that needle stops moving. We're at about, I would say, a half a thou, right? So now I'm going to take this gauge out of this piston. I'm going to dump this gauge into another piston out of the same box, all right? And if you look carefully, you'll notice this one goes ever so slightly closer to 0. So we're about a quarter thou to a half a thou. Technically, we are larger on this piston, okay? Now, these numbers are small, but here's what it means. So what that means, guys, is that if you are simply just assembling everything and not using the proper gauges to get your measurements and actually set your bores and your clearances and make sure that you're within specification, eventually, on a normal application, you probably won't have a problem, but on a high horsepower application or high torque application, you are eventually going to have an issue with what we call pin gallon. Now, you don't want that to happen. That's going to destroy an engine build over time, so it's not necessarily something that's going to be problematic 2 weeks into a fresh engine build, but a couple months down the road, you're going to have a big problem, and you're going to have to end up pulling that engine back out of the car and tear it down into pieces again. So please make sure you ask your repair shops for all of these numbers, guys. I might even just put something up on our website that lists a quick checklist of everything that needs to be measured for when building an engine. And your wrist pin is extremely important, so do not forget to measure this stuff before you assemble your connecting rod onto your piston.